All right. So we said that before the news we wanted to start talking about real estate, and we wanted to start thinking about if you're renting, or perhaps if you've sold because you wanted to sit on the sidelines for a little while, is now considered the perfect time to buy into this real estate market. Here to help us with our real estate questions, we know him as Mr. Credit on ESPN 1700 here in town. Derek Evans is back. Good morning, Mr. Credit.
Great to be here with you guys,
Yeah.
always. Love my Thursdays now.
All right, so start us off. We keep hearing, and we have been hearing for many years, interest rates are at historic lows. Are they still at historic lows?
They are at historic lows, and when I say it's always a good time to buy real estate, people think I'm a real estate agent. So let me be clear and say that I'm not affiliated with any real estate company. But it is always a good idea to buy real estate if, and there are three big ifs. Number one, if it's your primary home. So investment properties are a completely different ball game. It's something that a lot of people shouldn't get into. There's a lot of risk involved and too little reward in my opinion. But if it's your primary home, and if the timing fits your life plan, okay, that's number two. So many people are like you said, Scott, they're asking me, they're like, well, we plan on buying a house in a couple of years, but since interest rates are so low and the market's down, should we buy now? That's the tail wagging the dog. I mean, you don't want to make decisions about your life based on what the real estate market is doing. So it's got to fit in your life plan as well. And
well, hold on, let me just jump in and ask a question.
Sure.
But wait a second. If right now I told you could get a 30-year fixed mortgage at, say, 4%. I'm just making up a number. Is that where we're at, about that number?
About 4%.
you could get less than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can we get, 3.8?
You could get 3.5.
Okay, so if I told you today you could buy a house with a 30-year fixed mortgage at 3.5%, and you say, but I'm not really ready, and then I said to you, okay, but 5 years from now, and then this is all hypothetical, 5 years from now you can get a 30-year fixed mortgage at 7%, okay? Wouldn't you think to yourself, just from an investment standpoint, that now is a much better time, even though you don't know what the future holds?
Right,
Big
but I
assumption.
see what you're saying, life plan, because I'm a perfect example of that. My boyfriend and I just moved in together. There was a thought, should we buy? Maybe we shouldn't, but what if we break up? What if it, just right now for my life plan, it just doesn't seem appropriate yet. Granted, we thought about the price. Yeah, you're right. I take the risk of a couple years down the road, it is going to be more expensive, but if I'm not with him,
Well, you're making a big assumption. You're making a big assumption that interest rates will go higher, which is actually pretty unlikely.
How could they go any lower though? I just feel like, wasn't it in the 90s, what was it at?
In the 90s, rates were definitely higher. I mean, they were in the double digits.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
yeah, and interest rates are low, and that's good. And a lot of people think that interest rates have to go higher, but they absolutely do not. I mean, look at Japan. Interest rates have been 1% there for 20 plus years. Interest rates do not have to go higher, especially when, what would the effect of that would be that the government would have to pay a higher interest rate on their debt, and they wouldn't be able to service it. The government can barely service their debt at these low interest rates, and that's why they're keeping it low, and that's why they'll continue to keep them low.
But let me ask you this: owning versus renting. Especially people who don't own currently, they find out then, well, wait a second, what about all these great tax benefits? So is it really better to own versus renting?
Well, it absolutely is, especially because owning a home is the cornerstone of any good financial plan or retirement strategy. I mean, that's the real reason we buy real estate. So that's the purpose. Buy a house so that you can eventually own it, and then you don't have to make any payments anymore. I mean, if you do nothing else in your lifetime to save for retirement other than own your home free and clear, you're going to be okay. So that's the key.
But then you hear about, like, for instance, I have a few friends and family members who are upside down in their home, and there's a part of them who are like, you're so lucky. You can get out at any point in time. You could move. You could do all these different things. And they're kind of right. I mean, I'm not stuck in a home somewhere, and I'm not upside down on it, so I'm not really in any debt.
Being upside down doesn't matter, because it does not matter what your home is worth until the day you want to sell it. And if you buy a home properly for the long run to retire in, okay, then it doesn't matter what the home's worth. The next day the home could drop half in value. All that's going to do is lower your taxes. I mean, people get so proud they buy a house and it goes up 100,000. Like, my house went up 100,000. I'm like, congratulations on your higher tax bill. I mean, it doesn't matter what your house is worth. What matters is that you've got a roof over your head. If you own that thing free and clear, you're going to be okay. You've got a really good start to your retirement strategy.
I've heard from a lot of homeowners that they because the market seems to be on the rise, and because rates continue to stay low, that they've decided to sell now, rent, and wait.
Craziness.
Really?
So
Got
much
about 20
risk
seconds to
involved.
go. Really? Okay.
So much risk. Whenever you sell, it costs you 8%. If you're talking about a $500,000 house, we're talking about $40,000. And I don't want people to set themselves up to fail. People think that they need to buy a starter home and then sell that and buy another home when they decide to have a family, and then sell that and buy a smaller home when they retire. You're wasting so much money, and you're susceptible to the market when you do that.
So
To
stay
be
in that
continued.
house.
To be continued with Mr. Credit. So much more to talk about. Thank you, Derek, very much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.